Greetings! Mantare79 here, and welcome back to another deck profile video for the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game. And now in today's video, the deck profile I'm going to be making one for is a D standard formats, Dragon Empires, Dragonic Overlord the End with cards from DZ-BT01 Fated Clash. Alrighty, let's begin. And now for the ride deck. For the cards in this ride deck, we have 1. Grade 0, Lizard Runner Undo, starting unit. 1. Grade 1, Embodiment of Armor, Bar. 1. Grade 2, Dragon Knight Nehalem. 1. Grade 3, Dragonic Overlord the End. And 1. Ride Deck Crest, Energy Generator. The Grade 0, Lizard Runner Undo, starting unit. Skill, auto, when this unit is rolled upon, if you went second, draw a card. So for Undo, it's the starting unit of this deck. Like any other starting unit in the D standard format, it features the same skill and activation. When written on top of, if you're the second to go in the game, draw one card. The Great 1, Embodiment of Armor, Bar. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is rolled upon by Dragon Knight Nehalem, cost, Counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, search your deck for up to one Great 1 card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Second skill, auto, as a rear guard. Once per turn, when your Vanguard's attack hits, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So for Bar, it's the main Great 1 to ride in this deck. With its skills, the first skill, when you ride Dragon Knight Nehalem on top of it, by paying the cost, you can search your deck for any Great 1 card to secure for your later game strategy. And the second skill, while Bar is on your rear guard while the conditions of the skill are met, you can then turn your Bar into a potential 13,000 point attacker for your front row or a 13,000 point booster for your back row. The Grade 2, Dragon Knight Nehalem. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is rolled upon by a unit with Overlord in its card name, call this card to rear guard. Second skill, action as a rear guard once per turn. If you have a Vanguard of Overlord in its card name, cost, Soul Blast 1. If the cost is paid, this unit and all of your Vanguards gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So for Nehalem, it's the main Grade 2 to ride in this deck. With its skills, the first skill, when you ride an Overlord on top of it, you can then superior call Nehalem from the soul to the rear guard to serve as a potential front row attacker or a rear guard whose skill you wish to take advantage of later in the game. Any second skill, while on the rear guard, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met and you pay the cost, you can then not only turn your Nehalem into a potential 15,000 point attacker for your front row, but you can also give a little extra power to your Vanguard to make it easier to pressure or finish off your opponent with. The Grade 3, Dragonic Overlord the End. Skills, first skill, continuous. As a Vanguard, during your turn, if your soul has a Dragonic Overlord, this unit's drive check cannot decrease from card effects and it gets plus 5,000 power. Second skill, auto as a Vanguard once per turn. At the end of the battle this unit attacked, cost, Counterblast 1 and discard 2 cards from your hand. If the cost is paid, stand this unit and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. So for Dragonic Overlord the End, it's the main Grade 3 to ride in this deck. With its skills, the first skill, as long as the conditions of the first skill are met, not only do you get to give a little extra power to your Vanguard the End, but then you can protect it from having its drive check reduced by card effects. For example, the second skill of Dragonic Overlord the End, after attacking by paying the cost, you can restand your Vanguard at the cost of minusing its drive, but as mentioned before in the first skill, as long as you've got a basic Dragonic Overlord in the soul, the negative effect of the second skill is negated, thus allowing you to have 2 Vanguard attacks with twin drive. The Ride Deck Crest, Energy Generator. Skills, first skill, you may only have 1 Ride Deck Crest in the Ride Deck. Second skill, Auto, from the ride deck. When you ride, put this card into the crest zone. If you went second, energy charge 3. Third skill, Continuous. You may have up to 10 energy. Fourth skill, Auto. At the beginning of your ride phase, energy charge 3. And the fifth skill, Action, once per turn. Cost, Energy Blast 7. If the cost is paid, draw a card. So for Energy Generator, it's a powerful crest card to have in the D standard format, which is the second skill. When you ride from any grade, for example, grade 0 to grade 1, you can immediately deploy this crest from your ride deck to the crest zone, thereby giving you a crest to two skills you can take advantage of later in the game. And if you're the second to go in the game when you add this crest into your crest zone, you can also energy charge 3, giving you energy to make use of later in the game. And the fourth skill, every time it's the beginning of the ride phase, you can keep stacking more energy to the energy generator, giving you more energy to take advantage of later in the game. And the fifth skill, by paying the cost, you can draw more cards to restock your hand with. And of that, we just about covered the deck's ride deck. Next, let's get on to the deck's grade 1 lineup. And now for the grade 1 lineup. For the grade 1s in this deck, we are playing 4 grade 1 Drag Ritter Halb, 3 grade 1 Acute Dragon Eurofess, 3 grade 1 Twin Buckler Dragon, and 1 grade 1 Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude. The grade 1 Drag Ritter Halb. Skills, first skill, Continuous. When this card would be discarded from hand for the cost of the ability of your Vanguard of Overlord in its card name, it may be regarded as discarding 2 cards. Second skill, Auto. When this card is discarded from hand for the cost of the ability of your Vanguard of Overlord in its card name, you may call this card to a back row rearguard circle. If you called a card, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So for Halb, it's a support card for the Overlord series. With its skills, the first skill, whenever a skill from a Overlord Vanguard requires you to discard cards in your hand, if you discard Halb for the cost, Halb is then treated as 2 cards, thereby cutting the cost of any skills that require you to discard 2 or more cards from your hand. And the second skill, which combos with the first skill, when discarded for the cost of a Overlord's skill, you can then superior call Halb from the drop zone to the back row rear guard to serve as a 13,000 point booster for the back row. The grade 1 Acute Dragon Eurofess. Skill, Auto as a rear guard. When this unit attacks or boosts, cost Soul Blast 1. If the cost is paid, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of battle for each of your other grade 1 or less rear guards. So for Eurofess, a pretty good card to play in your Dragon Empire Nation decks with its skill. When attacking or boosting, by paying the cost, you can then give Eurofess power for every other grade 1 you have on the field. So if you play a deck that specializes in having multiple other great ones on your rear guard, Eurofess then can serve as a very powerful front row attacker or back row booster to help you to pressure or finish off your opponent with. The grade 1 Twin Buckler Dragon Sentinel Perfect Guard. Skills, first skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards with Continuous Sentinel in the deck. Second skill, Auto. When this unit is put on the Guardian Circle, choose one of your units, and it cannot be hit until end of battle. If your hand has 2 or more cards, choose a card from your hand and discard it. So for Twin Buckler Dragon, it's a perfect guard for the Dragon Empire Nation. Like any other perfect guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when used to guard with, discarding 1 card from your hand, you can block an enemy attack. But it also features an ability unique to all perfect guards in the D standard format, which is, when used to guard with, while you have less than 2 cards in hand, you will not have to pay the usual discard 1 cost, making Twin Buckler a potential no-cost perfect guard in desperate last resort situations. The grade 1 Blitz Order Elementaria Sanctitude. Skills, first skill, Continuous Sentinel. You may only have up to 4 cards of Continuous Sentinel in the deck. Second skill, continuous. You may only have one Elementaria Sanctitude in the deck. Third skill, order. If your opponent's Vanguard has triple drive, this ability can be played without paying the cost. Plays if a cost of. Discard a card from your hand if your Vanguard is grade 3 or less. If the cost is paid, choose from your units, and it cannot be hit until end of battle. Remove this card. So for Elementaria Sanctitude, it's the Blitz Order version of the Perfect Guard. Like any other Perfect Guard in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation, which is, when played, discarding one card from your hand, you can block an enemy attack. But ideally, Elementaria Sanctitude is a Perfect Guard that works best against opponents who play decks that specialize in having a Vanguard triple drive, for example, grade 4s, G units, or a Vanguard who has their drive check increased by skill or card effect. Against such opponents, Elementaria Sanctitude then can serve as a potential no-cost Perfect Guard. And at that, we just about covered the deck's grade 1 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's grade 2 lineup. And now, for the grade 2 lineup. For the grade 2s in this deck, we are playing 4 grade 2 Burning Horn Dragons, 4 grade 2 Ardor Hatchet Dragon, 3 grade 2 Drag Ritter Farret, and 4 grade 2 Steel Bull of Duststorm Ethan. The grade 2 Burning Horn Dragon. Skills, first skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rear guard, cost, counterblast 1. If the cost is paid, look at the top 7 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card of Overlord and its card name, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. If you did not reveal a card, countercharge 1. Second skill, auto as a rear guard. When your Vanguard of Overlord and its card name attacks, this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So for Burning Horn Dragon, it's a support card for the Overlord series. If it skills, the first skill, by calling it to the rear guard and paying the cost, you have the chance to check the top cards of your deck for an Overlord to add to your hand to help in your later game strategy. And the best part about this first skill, it's refundable. In the off chance you fail to get any Overlords from the first skill, you can then countercharge 1, thereby refunding the counterblast you paid to play this first skill. And the second skill, while on the rear guard, whenever your Vanguard Overlord attacks, you can give plus 5,000 power to Burning Horn, thereby this second skill making your Burning Horn a very powerful front row attacker to have. And the best part about this second skill, it's stackable. For the Overlord series, specializes in having Vanguards restand and attack multiple times. As long as you can attack multiple times with your Vanguard Overlord, you can keep stacking more power to Burning Horn, giving you a front row attacker who could be a great help in to pressuring or finishing off their opponent with. The grade 2 Ardor Hatchet Dragon. Skills, first skill, continuous as a guardian. If your soul has a card of Overlord in its card name, this unit gets plus 5,000 shield. Second skill, action as a rear guard. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, cost, retire this unit. If the cost is paid, choose a grade 3 card of Overlord in its card name from your drop and put it into your soul. So for Ardor Hatchet, another support card for the Overlord series, with its skills, the first skill. As long as the conditions of the first skill are met, your Ardor Hatchet Dragon then can serve as a potential 10,000 point shield on its own. Second skill, action as a rear guard. As long as the conditions of the second skill are met and you pay the cost, you have the chance to place any grade 3 Overlord from your drop zone to your soul to build up your soul for later Soul Blast, or to activate any skills that require you to have an Overlord in the soul to use for. The grade 2 Drag Ritter Farret. Skills, first skill, auto. When this card is put in the Guardian Circle from hand or discarded from hand for while riding from the right deck, pick cost, counterblast 1 or energy blast 3. If the cost is paid, draw a card. Second skill, auto. When this unit is placed on the rear guard, if you Persona Road this turn, cost, counterblast 1 or energy blast 3. If the cost is paid, choose a grade 1 card without Sentinel from your drop and call it to the back row rear guard. So for Farhut, a pretty powerful card to play in your Dragon Empire Nation decks with its skill. The first skill, when used to guard with, when discarded for the right deck cost, you can pay its own first skill cost to draw more cards to restock your hand with. Any second skill, when calls the rear guard, if the conditions of the second skill are met and you pay the cost, you can superior call any great round one from your drop zone to your back row rear guard circle, giving you a potential rear guard to either move to the front row to serve as a front row attacker, keep in the back row to serve as a back row booster, or to have a rear guard whose skill you wish to take advantage of later in the game. The Grade 2, Steelable of Duststorm, Ethan. Skill, auto as a rear guard. When your Vanguard's attack hits, cost, retire this unit. If the cost and paid, draw a card and countercharge 1. So for Ethan, another pretty good card to play in your Dragon Empire Nation decks with skill. Whenever your Vanguard lands a successful attack on either an opponent's Vanguard or rear guard, by paying the cost, not only do you get to draw more cards to restock your hand with, but you can also refund your counterblast for later skills. And of that, we just about covered the deck's Grade 2 lineup. Next, let's get on to the deck's Grade 3 lineup. And now for the Grade 3 lineup. For the Grade 3s of this deck, we are playing 4 Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, 3 Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, The End, and 1 Grade 3 Normal Order Gradia Greydale. The Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord. Skills, first skill, continuous as a Vanguard or rear guard. During the battle this unit attacked a rear guard, your opponent cannot call cards from their hand to Guardian Circle. Second skill, auto as a Vanguard once per turn. When this unit attack hits, cost, counterblast 1 and discard a card from your hand. If the cost and paid, stand this unit and it gets drive -1 until end of turn. So for Dragonic Overlord, it's one of the main Grade 3s to play in this deck. Its skills, the first skill. For the first skill, as either a Vanguard or rear guard, whenever you choose to attack an opponent's rear guard Dragonic Overlord, your opponent cannot guard the attack with their cards from their hand, thus giving you a almost certain guaranteed attack to help you land against an opponent's rear guard. And the second skill, as long as the conditions of the second skill are met and you pay the cost, you can restand your Vanguard for another attack. The Grade 3 Dragonic Overlord, The End. Since we already explained this card's abilities and effects during the ride deck portion of the video, we're going to skip ahead to the next card. The Grade 3 Normal Order Gradia Greydale. Regulus piece. You may only have 1 Regulus piece in your deck and use it a total of 1 time in a fight. Skill, play this if you have a Grade 3 Vanguard of Persona Ride, and if you did not ride this turn, activate Persona Ride, draw a card, all of your front row units gets plus 10,000 power this turn, and you are regarded to have Persona Ride. So for Gradia Greydale, a pretty good card to play in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game D standard format. For in the event you did not ride, and if you meet the conditions of the skill, you can initiate the Persona Ride, thus giving you more cards in your hand and more power in your entire front row, thus increasing your offensive and potentially defensive options for your later game. And of that, which is about cover the deck's Grade 3 lineup. Next, let's get on to the trigger lineup. And now for the trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck, we are playing 1 Grade 0 Dragon DD King of Resurgence Dragvita over trigger, 4 Grade 0 Burning Flail Dragon critical trigger, 4 Grade 0 Blaze War Monk Sokyo critical trigger, 3 Grade 0 Flareveil Dragon draw trigger, 2 Grade 0 Stealth Fiend Amavira heal trigger, and 2 Grade 0 Cure Flare Draco Kid heal trigger. The Grade 0 Dragon DD King of Resurgence Dragvita over trigger. Skill trigger additional effect. Choose one of your Vanguards and stand it. So for Dragvita, it's the over trigger for the Dragon Empire Nation. Like any other over trigger in the Cardfight Vanguard trading card game, it features the same skill and activation. When revealed during a drive check or damage check, you can give your unit on your field plus 100 million power and draw 1 card. But he also features an ability unique to him alone. When revealed during a drive check on your turn, you can restand your Vanguard for another attack, thus giving you another Vanguard attack to either help you pressure or finish off your opponent, or to simply drive check more cards to increase the chances of either getting a trigger or to simply restock your hand. The Grade 0, Burning Flail Dragon, critical trigger, skill, auto as a rear guard. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted. Cost, put this unit into your soul. If the cost is paid, choose one of your units, and it gets plus 2000 power until end of turn. So for Burning Flail Dragon, a powerful critical trigger to have in your Dragon Empire Nation decks with skill. After boosting an attack, regardless if the attack hits or not, as long as you don't mind moving Burning Flail from your rear guard to your soul, you not only do you get to build up your soul for later Soul Blast, but you can also give a remaining attacker on your field, Vanguard or rear guard, a little extra power to work with. The Grade 0, Flare Veil Dragon, crit draw trigger, skill, continuous as a guardian. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this unit gets plus 5000 shield. So for Flare Veil, a pretty powerful draw trigger to play in your Dragon Empire Nation decks with skill. When used to guard with, while the conditions of its skill are met, your Flare Veil then can serve as a potential 10,000 point shield on its own. The Grade 0, Stealth Fiend, Amavira, heal trigger, skill, auto. When this unit is put in the Guardian Circle, if your opponent's attacking unit has attacked 2 or more times this turn, this unit gets plus 15,000 shield until end of battle. Active if this battle is a second attack this turn or more. So for Amavira, a powerful heal trigger to play in your Dragon Empire Nation decks for skill. When used to guard with while the conditions of the skill are met, your Amavira then can serve as a potential 25,000 point shield all on their own. Ideally, Amavira is a counter heal best played against opponents who play decks that specialize in restanding and attacking multiple times their units, their Vanguard or rear guard. And the Grade 0, Cure Flare Draco Kid, heal trigger, skill, auto. When this unit is put in the Guardian Circle, if the attacking unit's critical is 2 or greater, and its critical is increased by a non-trigger effect ability, or its original critical is 2 or greater, this unit gets plus 15,000 shield until end of battle. So for Cure Flare Draco Kid, another powerful heal trigger to play in your Dragon Empire Nation decks with skill. When used to guard with while the conditions of the skill are met, your Cure Flare then can serve as a potential 25,000 point shield on its own. Ideally, Cure Flare is a counter heal best played against opponents who play decks that specialize in increasing their attacking unit's critical, Vanguard or rear guard by skill or card effect. And of that, we just about covered the deck's trigger lineup. For the triggers of this deck, we are playing 1 over trigger, Dragvina, 8 critical triggers, 3 draw triggers, and 4 heal triggers. And if that, we just about covered the deck's trigger lineup. And of that, that's just about all the time we have for today. First I want to say is, thank you to the viewers watching today's video, and to please stay tuned for more videos I plan to upload again in the near future. And I also hope you all show support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to my videos and channel. And of that I say, goodbye and see you all soon.